Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Al. This is the Nomadic Toolbox. I want to talk to you guys today about why I became excuse me, why I became a handyman. It's sort of a recent change for me, though I've always been a jack of all trades. My father was a contractor, but that doesn't mean that you would have to have that kind of a base to become a handyman because honestly, most of the things that I do on a daily basis, you can learn how to do on YouTube. If you get hired for a job, let's say they want you to change a light bulb. I mean, most of us can handle that without having to look up YouTube, look up on YouTube. But let's say it's something slightly more complicated, like changing out a fire alarm, a smoke detector. Or something like that, then, if you don't have much experience, you might need to look it up because some of them are operated by batteries. Some of those are operated by, it's hardwired or there's like a plug in the back of it. So it might do you good to do some research before you open up that can of worms, I was working, my story is I was working for my father's construction company for 3 years this time around. Before then, I was giving airboat tours, driving airboats in the Everglades. That was a pretty fun job, but again, that was only about 3 years. Then before that, I was working at my father's company again, 3 years. That seems like 3 years is about as long as I can take before I crack and I need to move on. I'm wondering though if that's because I was working for someone, I was the guy digging the holes. I was the guy doing all the work. They say there's two kinds of people in this world, the ones with guns and the ones with shovels. And I was tired of being the guy with the shovel. I also felt like I hit a pay ceiling at my father's company. Seems like he, he's a businessman, so he wants to keep all the finances hush-hush because he doesn't want anyone knowing how much money he's actually making. I mean, I know him as son. It is a little strange. I think I'd maybe would have been happier if he viewed me more as a partner than as an employee. And so I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that happening. So I went ahead and started picking up my own clients on the side, just small little odd jobs, changing light bulbs, doing a little touch-up painting. Honestly, little things that my father wouldn't even be interested in. So I didn't have any, I didn't have any moral issues doing it. I didn't feel like I was taking work from him. He's a contractor anyway. He's got his GC, his general contractor license. So I can't compete with him anyway. I will get my GC eventually, but for now, I'm really enjoying the freedom of being a handyman. I stepped down from his company, told him I'm going to go part-time is what I told him, but he never called back. I told him I'm going to switch down to part-time, and I never heard from him as far as work. Actually, I didn't hear from him for a long time. A good amount of time passed, and one thing that made me feel very proud, and it still does, is that I never had to reach out to him saying like, can you please give me some work? It was probably my pride that got in the way. But after being kind of mistreated by him, making you feel like you're not worth as much as you're getting paid, that was another issue, is the pay. I was making the same amount of money for the 3 years I was working for him. And when I did finally get a pay raise, it was like pulling teeth. And when I did get the pay raise, guess what? It was just enough to keep up with inflation. So really, it wasn't a pay raise at all. Not really, no. So that was disheartening, Meanwhile, he's living in a 3-story house on the water in the Keys. He's got a brand new truck every year, plus he goes through 3 Mercedes per year for whatever reason. I get it, it's his money, it's his company. So if he wants to keep it all for himself and he just wants an employee, he's gonna need to find another person. I was ready to move on, so I did. Now I'm a handyman. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I don't see why I would get tired of this after 3 years because I make my own schedule. Maybe a lot of the issue was that I'd have to wake up at this certain time, have to hustle out the door, I'd have to be at this place for this many hours, I'd leave at this time. this like monotonous schedule, even though working for his company, there was a lot of variation in work. You know, every day we were doing something different. But I think there still tends to be quite a bit of routine involved. Where now, I can wake up whenever I want. Some weeks I'll feel more motivated. I'll wake up at 6. It's rarely before then nowadays though. Wake up at 6. Other times, like today, I woke up at 7:30. It was good. It was really good. So I'm enjoying it. Some of my jobs include, you guessed it, changing light bulbs. You know, what I do is I charge $50 an hour, and I'm just keeping it a flat rate, $50 an hour. I try to, you know, if I'm gonna be there under an hour, it's still got to be like $50, you know, because I got to make some money, you know. From what I understand, I could be charging like $100 up front or even more, and then an hourly rate after that. Maybe I'll switch to this eventually, but for now, this is working. It feels fair. I'm being fair to the people out here in this community, because there's a lot of snakes out here ripping everyone off. But I've got kind of a niche going on, because most of these big guys, they don't want anything to do with these small projects because there's no money in it for them. But I find it's perfect, because I like small projects. I like these little things I can finish in a day or two. You know, maybe I'll get my GC and start doing bigger projects. But for now, this is easy going. No special licensing involved, no insurance, none of that. Just handyman work. And look at me right now. I mean, I don't have a boss I don't feel guilty about sitting here doing this. It's very liberating. I just got done with lunch. I was sitting there out front and talking to the guys, eating. I could stay there as long as I want. I could leave right now. I could take a nap right now, or I can go keep making more money. It's my choice. I'm already out here, so you know, I'm gonna relax a little bit more, stare at this beautiful ocean view here. Turn it around. Yeah, waterfront view. It ain't the ocean, but you know, it's a canal. It's man-made, but it's still nice. Beautiful spot. And I'll go put in a couple more hours and call it a day, you know? Go pick up my son. And, you know, that's another thing. I'm not bringing home the stress from work. I'm not being talked down to, you know, treated like I'm less than. And then, so I don't go home and treat my son that way. So our relationship has improved quite a bit because of this change. So if you're tired of being stuck at a company, you know, handyman work's an easy thing to do. You start off as a side job, and the best advice I can give you is keep your overhead low. Don't go financing a truck. You know, don't sign up for subscription services. Keep your overhead very low, because when you start, you know, work's going to be slow. But then it's still slow for me. But again, my overhead's so low. My car's paid off. It's a 97 town car. Eventually I need to get a truck, but this one fell in my lap. So that's what I'm using for now. I'm making it work. And yeah, keep your overhead low. Don't go buying a new truck. Don't go renting a place you can't afford. Heck, if you can, get a used vehicle, rent a camper, something like that. Keep it as cheap as possible. And you might have to do that for a year until you can get on your feet on your own. But in the end, I'm sure that you'll find it worthwhile, because I'm finding it worthwhile. And I'm not making as much money as I was before working for my dad's company, but I'm making, because my overhead is low, I'm making plenty to survive, and it's only gonna grow. You know, I planted a seed, and instead of watching my father's seed germinate and grow and become a stronger and stronger tree, I get to germinate my own company tree, you know? It's I'd say it's germinated. It's a little sprout right now, but it's growing. Need to figure out how to add some fertilizer or something. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And hit that like button. Have a nice day, guys.